My name is Sarah Miller, and I'm 29 years old. People always told me I was lucky. I had a good job as a marketing coordinator in Chicago, wonderful parents, and a man who loved me. At least, that's what I believed. His name was Jake Anderson. We met 3 years ago at a neighborhood charity event. He made me laugh on one of the hardest days of my life after I had lost my grandmother. From that moment, he became my safe place. He remembered the little things, my favorite coffee order, the songs I loved during long drives, even how I always cried during Christmas movies. When Jake proposed by Lake Michigan on a cool autumn evening, I didn't hesitate. "Yes," I whispered through happy tears. For the next 8 months, our lives revolved around one beautiful goal: our wedding. Every Saturday, we visited flower shops, tasted cakes, and argued playfully about music for the reception. Jake wanted classic rock. I wanted soft love songs. We laughed more than we disagreed. Everything felt perfect. Or at least it did, until one ordinary Tuesday evening. I was sitting on the living room floor, surrounded by wedding invitations. My hands were covered with tiny drops of gold ink from sealing envelopes. Jake walked in carrying 2 cups of coffee. "You've been working too hard," he said, handing me one. I smiled. Someone has to make sure our guests know where to go. He chuckled before sitting beside me. For a few minutes, neither of us spoke. The room was peaceful, except for soft music playing from the speaker. Then Jake cleared his throat. "Sarah." His voice sounded different, more careful. "I need to tell you something." I looked up. "What is it?" He stared into his coffee instead of my eyes. "I invited someone else." I laughed. "I figured. Your office friends keep multiplying." He didn't laugh back. "No." There was a long silence. "I invited Olivia Carter." The smile disappeared from my face. His ex-girlfriend. The woman he had dated for nearly 6 years. The woman he once planned to marry. I blinked several times, convinced I had heard him wrong. "Olivia?" Jake finally looked at me. "Yeah." My heart suddenly felt much heavier. "Why?" He took a deep breath. "Because we're adults now." I waited for a better explanation. None came. He continued calmly. "Our relationship ended years ago. There's no bad blood anymore. She recently moved back to Chicago. We ran into each other a few months ago, and we've become friendly." "Friendly?" That word echoed inside my head. "You never told me you've been seeing her." I didn't think it mattered. "It matters now." Jake reached for my hand, but I quietly pulled it away. "It's just one wedding guest, Sarah." "No," I answered softly. "It's your ex." He sighed. "I don't want secrets between us. That's why I'm telling you." I wanted to appreciate his honesty. Instead, I felt a strange pain growing inside my chest. "Does she know me?" "Not really." "Does she know she's invited?" "Yes." "When did you invite her?" Jake hesitated for only a second. "Last week." "Last week." That meant he had already made the decision before telling me. I stood and walked towards the kitchen, pretending I needed water. The truth was, I needed a moment to breathe. When I returned, Jake was organizing invitation cards as if our conversation had already ended. "I hope you trust me," he said quietly. I wanted to answer immediately. Instead, I realized I wasn't sure. That night, sleep refused to come. Jake fell asleep beside me within minutes. I stared at the ceiling, replaying every word he had said. We're adults now. She's just a guest. I didn't think it mattered. Around midnight, I heard Jake's phone vibrate. He carefully picked it up, trying not to wake me. I kept my eyes closed. A soft light from his screen filled the room. He read the message. Then, he smiled. Not a polite smile, not a friendly smile, a smile I hadn't seen all week. He quietly stood, walked into the hallway, and answered the call in a whisper. I couldn't hear every word. Only one sentence. "Don't worry, she doesn't know yet." Those 7 words sent a chill through my entire body. Lying there in the darkness, I suddenly wondered if inviting his ex to our wedding was only the beginning of a much bigger secret. The next morning, I acted as if nothing had happened. Jake kissed my forehead before leaving for work. "Love you," he said with an easy smile. "I love you too," I replied automatically. The words came out, but they didn't feel as natural as they always had. As soon as the front door closed, I sat alone at the kitchen table, staring at my untouched cup of coffee. I kept hearing the sentence from the night before. "Don't worry, she doesn't know yet." Who was he talking to? Was it Olivia? Or was I letting fear create stories that weren't true? I wanted to trust the man I was about to marry. But trust is fragile. Once a small crack appears, everything begins to look different. 3 days later, my older sister Megan convinced me to visit the wedding venue one last time. "You need a break," she said. "Let's make sure everything is perfect." When we arrived at the historic ballroom, the wedding planner greeted us with a bright smile. "Sarah, great timing." She handed me a clipboard. "We've already updated the seating chart." I frowned. "Updated?" "Yes. Your fiancé stopped by yesterday." I looked at Megan. "Jake came here?" The planner nodded. "He made a few small changes." I studied the seating chart. Then my eyes froze. Olivia Carter. She wasn't sitting near the back with distant friends. She wasn't at a random guest table. Jake had placed her at the table closest to the dance floor, right beside his college friends, people who had known Olivia for years. My stomach tightened. "Did Jake explain why?" I asked. The planner smiled politely. "He only said it was important that she felt comfortable." Comfortable? I forced a smile, but inside, something felt terribly wrong. That afternoon, I finally asked Jake. "You changed the seating chart." He looked surprised. "Oh, you found out. Why is Olivia sitting with your closest friends?" "They already know her." "So? It'll be less awkward." "For who?" I asked quietly. Jake rubbed the back of his neck. "Sarah, please don't turn this into a problem." "I'm trying to understand." "There isn't anything to understand." He sounded annoyed. That hurt more than I expected. He walked into the bedroom, ending the conversation before I could ask another question. For the first time in 3 years, Jake walked away from me. 2 days later, I met my best friend, Rachel, for lunch. She listened patiently as I explained everything. When I finished, she reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Do you think he's cheating?" The question hit me like cold water. "I don't know. Has he ever lied before?" "No." "Has he ever given you a reason not to trust him?" I looked down. "No." Rachel smiled gently. "Then maybe you're letting fear win." I wanted to believe her. I truly did. That evening, I returned home earlier than expected. Jake wasn't there. His laptop was sitting open on the dining table. I had never searched through his things before, not once, but my eyes caught something on the screen. An email. The subject line read, "Wedding guest confirmation." I told myself not to look. Instead, I clicked. Most of the guest names meant nothing. Then I found Olivia's name. Beside it was a short note. "Special meal request approved." Nothing unusual, until I noticed another line underneath. "Bride informed?" Someone had answered. "Not yet. I'll handle it." My heartbeat became louder. Those exact words. "Not yet." The same words I had heard on the phone. I quickly closed the laptop as I heard Jake's keys at the front door. "Hey!" he called cheerfully. I smiled, pretending everything was normal. But inside, questions kept growing. The wedding rehearsal was only 2 days away. Friends and family filled the church with laughter. I tried to focus on flower arrangements and music cues. Then the front doors opened. A tall woman walked inside wearing a simple blue dress. She was beautiful, confident, graceful. She didn't hesitate for a second. She walked straight toward Jake. He smiled the moment he saw her. Without thinking, they hugged. Not a quick, awkward hug. A long one, comfortable, familiar. I felt the room disappear around me. Neither of them noticed I was watching. Jake stepped back first. Olivia laughed softly and touched his arm as they continued talking. Something inside me broke. I quietly turned away before either of them could see the tears filling my eyes. For the first time since saying yes to his proposal, I wondered if I should still become Mrs. Sarah Anderson. I didn't cry at the rehearsal, not there, not in front of our families. I waited until I reached my car. The moment I closed the door, the tears came. I gripped the steering wheel, trying to catch my breath. The image of Jake hugging Olivia played over and over in my mind. Maybe everyone else thought it was harmless. I couldn't, not anymore. When I got home that night, Jake was already there. He looked up from the couch. "Hey, where did you go? I couldn't find you after rehearsal." I wasn't feeling well. He stood and walked toward me. "Are you okay?" I looked into his eyes. "I saw you with Olivia." His smile disappeared. "It was just a hug." "It didn't look like just a hug." Jake sighed. "Sarah, we've known each other for years. Of course we're comfortable." I folded my arms. "You never told me the two of you were still this close." "We're not." "Then why does she keep showing up everywhere? Why does she know all the wedding plans? Why are you hiding things from me? I'm not hiding anything. His answer came too quickly, too perfectly, as if he had practiced saying it. I wanted him to fight for my trust. Instead, he looked tired. Can we please stop talking about Olivia? That sentence hurt more than any argument, because it wasn't really about Olivia anymore. It was about us, about honesty, about whether I truly knew the man I loved. The next morning, I packed a small overnight bag. Just enough clothes for 2 days. Jake watched me from the bedroom door. What are you doing? I'm staying with my sister tonight. Sarah, I need space. He walked toward me. Please don't do this. I don't know what to believe anymore. His shoulders dropped. I love you. I wanted those words to fix everything. Instead, they only made me cry harder. Megan welcomed me into her home without asking questions. She simply hugged me. Later that evening, while we were eating dinner, someone knocked on the door. It was Ethan Brooks, Jake's best friend. He looked nervous. I need to talk to Sarah. Megan looked at me. I'll be in the kitchen. As soon as we were alone, Ethan took a deep breath. I know you think Jake is cheating. I stayed silent. I've seen the way you've been looking at him. Can you blame me? He slowly shook his head. No. Hope and fear mixed inside me. If you know something, tell me. Ethan rubbed his hands together. I promised Jake I wouldn't. Please. He closed his eyes for a moment. Then he spoke. Jake has been meeting Olivia because... He hesitated. Because she asked for his help. My heart sank. What kind of help? She's getting divorced. I blinked. What? Her husband left her 6 months ago. I didn't expect that. Ethan continued. She doesn't have many friends left. Jake was one of the only people she trusted. I felt confused. So all those phone calls were about legal papers, moving, and emotional support. I looked away. Then why keep it from me? Ethan sighed. Because Olivia begged Jake not to tell anyone. She was embarrassed. Part of me wanted to believe him, but another part remembered every secret, every whisper, every lie by omission. I looked back at Ethan. Then why invite her to our wedding? He became quiet again. I don't know. That answer destroyed the small comfort I had started to feel. The wedding morning arrived. Gray clouds covered the sky. Rain tapped softly against the hotel windows as the makeup artist finished my hair. Everyone kept telling me how beautiful I looked. I barely heard them. Inside, I felt empty. My wedding dress suddenly felt heavier than it had during every fitting. Rachel adjusted my veil. You can still walk away. I looked at my reflection. For a moment, I almost didn't recognize the woman staring back. She looked frightened, not excited, not joyful, frightened. A wedding coordinator knocked gently on the door. They're ready for the ceremony. My father offered me his arm. You don't have to do this, he whispered. I smiled through tears. I know. The church doors slowly opened. Music filled the room. Every guest stood. At the end of the aisle, Jake was waiting. He looked at me with tears in his eyes. But before I could take my first step, someone stood up from the front row. It was Olivia. She looked directly at me. Then she said 5 words that made the entire church fall silent. "Sarah, I have to tell you something." The entire church became silent. No one moved. No one even seemed to breathe. Olivia stood slowly, her hands trembling. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. "I'm so sorry," she said. My father tightened his grip on my arm. Jake immediately stepped forward. "Olivia, not now." She shook her head. "No, Jake. It has to be now." Every guest stared at us. I could hear whispers filling the church. I swallowed hard. "What do you need to tell me?" Olivia took a deep breath. Then she looked straight into my eyes. "You deserve the truth." My heart pounded so loudly that I could barely hear anything else. She continued, "When Jake invited me to your wedding, I told him he shouldn't." I frowned. "He wanted you to see that our relationship was truly over. He believed that if we could both attend the same wedding peacefully, you would never have to wonder about me again." I looked at Jake. His face was pale. Olivia continued, "I told him it was a terrible idea." A few guests exchanged uncomfortable glances. "He kept helping me after my divorce because I had no one else. He answered my calls, helped me move into my apartment, and even met with my lawyer a few times." She wiped away a tear. "But nothing romantic happened between us." I wanted to believe her. Yet one question still burned inside me. Then why keep everything secret? Jake finally spoke. "I thought I was protecting everyone." I looked at him. "Protecting who?" "You!" His voice cracked. "I knew you'd worry if you knew how much Olivia was struggling. She begged me not to tell anyone about her divorce because she felt ashamed." I shook my head slowly. "So you lied instead?" "I never cheated." "No." A tear rolled down my cheek. "But every secret made me trust you less." Jake's eyes filled with regret. "I know." He stepped closer. "I thought I could solve everything by myself." "That's the problem." The church remained completely quiet. Even the music had stopped. I took a deep breath. "I never asked you to fix every problem alone. You were supposed to share them with me." Jake lowered his head. "I was afraid." "Of what?" "That you'd misunderstand." I gave a sad smile. "And because you hid the truth." "I misunderstood anyway." Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Sometimes silence says more than words ever can. Finally, Olivia walked toward me. "I'm sorry, Sarah." She gently placed a folded envelope into my hand. "I was going to leave before the ceremony started. I wrote this letter to explain everything if you ever wanted answers." She looked at Jake one last time. "I shouldn't have accepted the invitation." Then she quietly walked out of the church. No one tried to stop her. I looked down at the wedding bouquet in my hands. Only yesterday, I believed marriage was about love. Now I understood something even more important. Marriage is built on trust. Without trust, love slowly loses its place. Jake stood only a few feet away. "I'll spend the rest of my life earning your trust back," he whispered. I believed he meant every word, but believing his love and trusting his choices were no longer the same thing. I slowly removed my engagement ring. Gasps echoed through the church. Jake's face fell. "I love you," I said through tears. "And that's why this hurts so much." I placed the ring gently into his hand. "I can't marry someone who chooses secrets over honesty." His shoulders shook as he cried, "I'll wait for you." I smiled sadly. "Don't wait. Learn. Grow. And if life brings us back together one day," I paused, "let it be because we've both become better people." I kissed his cheek one last time. Then I turned and walked back down the aisle with my father beside me. No applause, no music, only quiet footsteps. I started painting again, something I had abandoned years before. For the first time in a long while, I felt peaceful. One afternoon, I received a handwritten letter from Jake. He didn't ask me to come back. He didn't beg for another chance. He simply wrote, "Thank you for teaching me that honesty is not something we offer after trust is broken. It is how we protect the people we love every single day." I folded the letter with a gentle smile. Some people enter our lives to stay forever. Others enter to teach us the hardest lessons. Losing the wedding broke my heart, but losing myself would have been a far greater tragedy. And that day I chose myself.